Kim, any other new thoughts on the game last night?
Well, um, you look at games when you see your schedule and you think, style of play is going to be difficult to win on the road. I've told you all that. They shoot so many threes. It's a hard matchup for us. But if you broke it down, I just thought we missed shots that we normally make to start the game. We had good mid-range jumpers, just didn't fall. Stayed in the game into the first quarter, 1-point game, and I substituted there in the second quarter and had three players off the bench, and we went down 8. It's a long season. I'm trying to get them some valuable minutes and try to, grow as a team, and they got on a roll there and started hitting threes, and we'd miss shots and turn it over, and it just kind of snowballed. But, it's of the 3 losses in the SEC, that was one that we couldn't say we fought. Well, we fought to the end, but we couldn't say we had a chance at the end. They controlled it when it got into the 20s.
Yeah, even though you're 21 games into the season, is there some type of solution to you guys' issues guarding the 3 and on the perimeter?
Yeah, it's called sit your bigs on the bench and go small. But is that really what we need to be doing when we're 17-4 and those bigs helped us become 17-4? I'm not going to do that. We're building a program here, and you take what your strengths are and you try to hide your weaknesses, and sometimes your weaknesses get exposed on the defensive end. And but yeah, hopefully we won't have to play any more of those type of teams until maybe the tournament.
So was last night just kind of a lick your chops or your wounds and just try to keep it pushing?
Absolutely. The sky's not falling.
Well,
Guys, do you realize yesterday the NCAA revealed their bracket and we would host the first and second rounds here? Keep perspective. Now, whether we host it or not, whether we lose more games or not, I keep perspective.
Looks like Autumn is back. I mean, she's been very steady for you, and the injury and even the time off didn't really hurt her too much. Just talk a little bit about
Well, she
this.
scored the ball last night. I thought she got a lot of pick and rolls at the top of the circle there. I want her to get back in the flow of getting us some more offensive boards. Part of that has to do with who we played. When you play teams back-to-back that push it in transition, it tends to make your post quit going to the offensive boards because they're scared they're not going to be back in transition. And so I try to make them understand if you get those offensive boards, it slows down their transition. So we've got to get her back in the flow to getting us some more offensive boards. But she's fine. I haven't been told that, she has to go half speed or anything like that. She's good to go.
And can you give us a scouting report on Kentucky? They were ranked to start the season, but they seem like they've kind of
Well,
air's
they
gone out
have
for
had, I think, a suspension. I think they've had a couple of injuries. Last night, they tell me that they only played 6 players. We're in the film room right now as I speak to y'all, looking at Kentucky and going over scouting report. They have the preseason pick for the player of the year in Ryan Howard. So they're hungry. They've lost some. And I would imagine their SEC season is not going as they had hoped or had planned. And when you have a player as good as she is, and you get everybody back healthy, you can turn that corner quickly. They're man-to-man. They'll press you some in a 1-2-2. They'll play you some 2-3. They're not like a Missouri. They're not like a Florida Gulf Coast. They're not like a Arkansas. I think they make 3 or 4 or 5 threes, kind of like we do. But there's no giving. We have to be prepared and understand that you got to win some of these games down the stretch. We're at the halfway point in the SEC. Let's go see how many more of these things we can win.
Do you plan on throwing a bunch of bodies at Ryan, considering the size advantage she has?
She is a big perimeter player. I can't grow them overnight. We are who we are out there, so throwing a lot of bodies at them, they're all still going to be smaller. So it'll be any of our perimeter players that will have to guard her.
Hi. Like you said, you're going to be hosting some games since you're projected to be the number 3
Well,
seed.
no, we're not guaranteed that. That was just the first, deal. They've got another one in February and then the real one in March. But it's an honor to be considered. And really, let's pinch ourselves.
What would it
Let's be
mean-
fair.
What would it mean to your players if you got to host some games in the first and second round?
Well, I think the first thing, it would mean a great deal to this school, this state, and this program to get to the playoffs. That's the most important thing. Now, if you win enough games and you can host, that's icing on the cake. But you gotta take a team that won 9 games last year and have a realistic goal, and the realistic goal is get to the playoffs. And that's never going to be erased. And if we win enough and we keep fighting and we keep clawing, and you're mentioned, what an honor it would be.
It sounded like after the Florida loss, you were going to kind of get on them, but do you kind of throttle back after this? Is it kind of a reverse kind of psychology? Do you kind of throttle back into this game? Like you said, keeping perspective is important. You don't want people to get too down on themselves.
Well, you keep perspective, but you still have to have constructive criticism. You don't have constructive criticism in a way that it destroys them and all the things that they have done. You show what we've done good to reach this point. You show what we've got to get better at, and you show what we haven't been doing too good. But here's the thing that is, you got to really, really work as a coach. None of them in that locker room have ever been the hunted. Now that takes it to a whole different level pressure-wise. That takes it up to a whole different level for your opponent to want to beat a ranked team. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't approach in that locker room. Okay, if that's the number 1 team in the country I'm coaching, and we knew it, and the expectations were that, and the expectations were all of this, you better believe the paint would be coming off the walls. But I don't think anyone saw the kind of year we're having. And so let's be fair, let's be real, and let's just keep doing what we're doing and fix a few things that maybe weren't so bad earlier in the year because you weren't ranked. But now you're being scouted in more detail in the SEC, and you got to fix some of the things that you may kind of have gotten away from. And so you stay in that room with them, with the video, and you make them look at it. Keep playing with effort, and good things will happen.
You're happy with that? The effort?
Well, I think the effort is good, but sometimes I think frustration may set in for a possession or two, but you have to show them, I'm glad you're frustrated, but you still have to run back down the floor. You still have to fight through those missed shots. You can't let your offense take away from what got us to this point. 3 things got us to this point this year. Play hard, play good defense, and rebound the ball. Some of those shots we missed last night, we've been making them. But guess what? Sometimes it doesn't go in. And so go back to what your identity has been all year. Play hard, defend hard, and rebound the ball.
Hi. So, early on here, how are you guys going to be, preparing on the court and off the court for your game against Kentucky?
Well, you have to be careful because you played so many minutes, and I don't have a lot of depth. So when we go on that floor today, you got to work on some of the things that we're showing them in the film room to correct with us. Correct us first. And then today and mostly tomorrow, go work on Kentucky.
The talk about realizing where they were last year and the expectations this year, how do you balance outside shock with inside expectation?
Outside shock.
As in, people may not have realized this or how good this team would have been or how good they have been.
Well, I can't control what the outside thinks or says, but I would have to think it would all be positive. Come on. Anybody that says, oh, they've lost 2 in a row, the sky's falling, you don't understand sports. Internally, inside that locker room, you want to win every game. So if we were 17-4 or 4-17, you want to win the next game. And so none of that in the locker room has changed. Continue to teach, continue to show them things, and realize that where we started is not where we are now.
On another note, with Flaw J. Johnson being All-American and getting all that notoriety going nationally, you had also tried to recruit her back at Baylor. What made you keep at it even when you got from there to LSU?
Well, I think relationships is what recruiting is all about. And there are a lot of kids that we recruited at Baylor that left. I think 5 or 6 left. And it's because of relationships, change in staff, and then those that you're recruiting tend to be the ones that you recruit when you go somewhere else. And Flage, being from Georgia, she's in the southeast part of, where we are, the SEC. Honestly, it would probably have been harder for me to get her to go to Central Texas than to come to LSU. You know the story on her rap. She's a rapper, and so if any state in the United States is pretty much known for rapping, I think Louisiana would have to be one of them. And I'm pretty sure she probably, if she doesn't know all the rappers, I'm sure her family does. But congratulations to her for being this staff's first McDonald's All-American. There's been many here, but it was to do that in your first class, and she signed with us before we ever won a game. She signed with us before we ever won a game. And it's not just Flage. It's the 2 kids from Texas. It's Poa from the junior college. Those kids see something here or believed in us or wanted to play for us, and that was an important class for us. And hopefully, we'll add to that every year.
Right. And what do you?
Time for a couple more questions.
Okay, I'll just make this a quick one. It's semi-two-parter, but what do you think about not just her skill set, but her personality and how her entertainment capabilities also help with the NIL?
Well, you said it best. Knowing that kid, she's probably got NIL deals off the table, off the charts, just because of what she does away from basketball. But I will tell you this, when you see her play, her basketball skills are awesome. She's not just a rapper that plays basketball. Basketball means a great deal to her. And she attracts a lot of attention. And it's attention in a positive way, and I'm just grateful that she's going to give us a chance to be a part of her life these next 4 or 5 years.
After seeing Brian Kelly dancing with Walker Howard, I'd love for you to say that you're going to be in one of her music videos or something like that.
I asked her when she was on her visit, and she knows I love country music, and she laughs at me because I kind of threw a little gospel in there. She's Flage. It's her name. So I started singing, Flage, oh glory. And she just shakes her head at me. But she's a very talented rapper. She's very, very, very wholesome, too. A lot of people, I don't know much about rap, but if you go watch her, it's not something that you are turned off by. She's beautiful to begin with, but just she writes her own stuff.
That wasn't my real question, but
all right,
it was
what's your real question?
My real question was, as you said, it was hard to anticipate the success y'all had this year, but I'm sure you anticipated the adversity, or at least some of what you're experiencing in the last couple of games. So this is nothing that you weren't prepared for or wanted to prepare them for, and how's that followed suit with what you thought might happen?
I don't know if I use adversity. Adversity is when you can't win a game. Adversity is when you're having a losing season. Adversity is when you realize you don't stand a chance. This is the nature of big-time college athletics, especially in the SEC. I told y'all we are capable of winning against anybody we play, but we're also capable of losing. And we've won more than we've lost. We're entertaining out there. We play the way people want to see you play, and we're getting as much out of our talent as we can. But yes, you're not going to win every game. I think in my career I've done it twice as a player, and once as a coach, where we won every game. It doesn't happen. You want to win enough to give yourself a shot in the postseason and see what happens in the postseason. And I think we're really headed in the right direction. But gosh, I know we're headed in the right direction, and we're so far down the road than any of us thought. And that's why I keep telling you, keep perspective.
Thank you, guys.
All right, y'all be good.